If your nonprofit is struggling to maintain secure, sustainable funding, you might be falling victim to a few common nonprofit mistakes. So stay tuned, and I'll give you a few ideas on how to hack your donor engagement strategy. Fail number one, you're focusing too much on mission and not enough on impact. Pundits across the internet will tell you put your mission on the homepage, put it in your newsletter, your social media sites, have your staff memorize the mission by heart. And the mission is important, absolutely. But when it comes to your fundraising efforts, people are interested in the impact, in the results. They're not interested in the forward-looking vision. Just think about it from a real-life example. Say you have a leaky sink in your kitchen. You call the plumber, can you come out and fix my sink? Now, if the plumber said to you, well, it's our mission to fix every leaky sink in America by 2025, well, you know what? That's a great mission. I support that. I'm down with that. But really, I just need to know, can you fix this problem right now? And that is really what your donors are looking for too. You need to start thinking of your donors as basically clients, right? They are giving you an amount of money to fix a problem, whether that's healthcare, climate change, education, arts and culture, humanities, whatever it is that they think is important to them to be fixed, they're giving you money to fix that. And so when you are talking about getting donations in, you need to talk about how you're fixing that problem that they are working with you, that they're going to hire you to fix. So thinking about what it is that their money is going to do instead of just supporting the larger mission. Too many nonprofits still have a donate now button, but no reason. What does this donation do? And that is really if you don't explain what you're donating, if you don't have a larger donate now and why this is why you need to donate and what the money is going to do, you're already failing at engaging donors because you're not telling them how their money is going to help, how that money is going to work. So as a nonprofit, you need to start doing two things. You need to start collecting the numbers. How many people did you help? What amount was contributed to help them? How many communities? How many pencils did you contribute? How much did you donate? How much impact did you have? And then number two is collecting the stories of the recipients. How did you help? Get that emotional aspect going so that when you talk about the success of your program, it's numbers to back up. Yes, we did this. We had this reach, this impact in its entirety, but then also the story so that people feel engaged with your nonprofit. They feel like your nonprofit is trustworthy. They feel like they like what you're doing. They understand what you're doing. And they feel like they know that their money is going to go to a worthy cause. So start to collect those numbers, start to collect those stories, and turn that into, when you're creating programs, turn that into a mechanism of those programs, whether it's through surveys or direct outreach or webinars. In some way, start collecting the success that you're generating so that you can then talk about that success with your donors. The other thing you might want to consider doing, this isn't something all nonprofits can do, but talking about direct equation. So your $100 will go to support 100 blankets for abused animals, 50 vaccine kits for kids in emerging countries, 30 counseling sessions on building a lesson plan. So talking about the actual one-to-one measurement of what that money will do. And the more you can almost commodify why people are giving you money and what the result is for that money, similar to if they were buying a necklace or an e-course from you, is turning that into an understandable before and after state. And your donation is going to do this thing. And the more you're able to quantify what you're doing, the impact of what you're doing, the more donors will start to like you and trust you and understand what you do and why there's need for your nonprofit and your efforts. Because we saw our direct impact occurred in these ways. And the more you're building trust by having your partners speak up on your behalf, the more you're going to build the engagement from donors who aren't familiar with you and your programs. Second fail is not having a growth mindset. I see so many nonprofits that have websites that only talk to their own constituents, and they don't open up the language and the conversation for people who are new to that nonprofit. I don't know what you do. I don't understand what you do. Oh, okay. Well, let me explain to you. Here are links. New to this organization, go here, or meet our team, or learn about our mission. And creating a language that allows, that's inclusive, that allows anyone and everyone who might have interest, and make it easy for them to sign up, make it easy for them to engage with you. Part of that, and I see this a lot of nonprofits, especially online, don't have any incentives to subscribe. They just have the subscribe, they have, some of them have language, some just have subscribe now button, which is just, it's not enough anymore. People need to know why they should do that, what the energy is. But, from the sales world, the marketing world, and the for-profit side, almost every website has a click here to download our white paper, click here to download our research, and they have to give you the information to do that. And nonprofits really should start thinking about creating that incentive of the, in the olden days, the bank, the football phone, and having a white paper, if you're in arts and humanities, having screensaver backgrounds, or having research, or having things that are not available unless the subscriber gives their information in return, and creating a mechanism that really encourages anyone who lands on your site, sign up now because you'll get this download, or these images, or this report, or these postcards, or this language. And so having that mindset on your homepage. Is this homepage welcoming to strangers? And what are we doing what's that extra incentive, that extra step to get people, first-time visitors to our site, to engage more with us, to sign up for our newsletter, and not just sign up now, but if you sign up now, here's your reward. I'm not necessarily recommending a content plan. I know that it can be a little bit difficult if you're a hyper small nonprofit, but really with the preponderance of AI and sites like Fiverr and Upwork, it's not that difficult, and it's not that expensive to have a content plan. And really having a plan where once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, you're putting some kind of content talking about what you're doing, again, talking about your impacts, talking about how people can get involved and why they can get involved. Let's say you're focused on climate change, having a language that people can use to talk to government officials about climate change, offering stories, success stories, or news trends that are happening. But having that content plan really, again, it helps with the building of trust. It helps with understanding what you do, and it will do more to generate a larger audience, having that growth mindset of bringing more people into the organization, so you have a larger constituency to talk to, which then leads to a larger constituency to fundraise from, get volunteers from, get people to talk about your message to their friends, family, circles as well. So creating a content plan really should be fairly high up on your marketing and on your engagement. I know that it can be a little bit of a one more thing to do in my already way busy schedule, but it really can be managed in a way that just keeps things fresh for visitors, so that they want to keep coming back to your site. They want to see what you're working on. They want to see what's new, what's happening, and keeping that growth mindset. If you have a static website that never changes, if someone comes to it once and they come to it a second time, they're not going to come back a third time if it's going to always be the same thing over and over again. And really, ultimately, your growth mindset, the most important thing you want to focus is growing your newsletter. And yeah, you absolutely want to be active on social media and have people kind of engage with your content and see what's going on through social. I mean, it's a way of marketing and getting the word out. But really, the newsletter is where you're collecting the data. This is data and information you own for your organization. If Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or TikTok closes down tomorrow, you've lost all the efforts you've put into TikTok. The newsletter, you are going to own that information, own the people and the contact and the emails and the phone numbers that they've given you. So you really want to focus, when you talk about a growth mindset, really create a robust newsletter, set a schedule. It's going to be once a month, once a quarter. I'm going to have new content at every single thing. Every single issue is going to have new content. And I'm going to keep engaging my audience through this newsletter to see what they're most interested in with respect to our mission. Do they like images? Do they like stories? Do they like polls? Do they like surveys? and keeping that energy flowing. Because if you have a static website and people come once and it's not updated, they've come a second time, it's the exact same website they saw 3 months ago, 6 months ago, they're not going to come back. There's no purpose for them to keep coming back. And if you're not bringing people back to your website over and over, they're not going to get engaged and caught up in your mission. So really having that understanding that you want to grow your list, but in return for doing that, you're going to have to do a little bit of work and give a little bit more with your newsletters and having it regular. The other thing with your newsletter is really, it cannot only be a fundraising ask every time you send out the newsletter, or a buy this program, buy that program, buy the other program. There has to be some element for the user and only the user that isn't you with your hand out saying, please give me more money. So it could be the success stories. It could be the reports that you've done. It could be how we're seeing success in our mission and how the subscribers can deploy those successes for themselves, but really creating something that is 100% for the user benefit that doesn't have a price tag attached. Because if you're just out there every single time, give me money, give me money, give me money, at a certain point, donor fatigue is going to set in and people are going to, I just can't look at this anymore because it's just too much. So a great example of this, if you're an arts and culture organization, you can talk about if you are an artist organization, you could talk about the successes of this artist, this strategy really worked for this artist at this art fair. If you're an economic development organization, you can talk about SCORE. If you're familiar with score.org, they have lots and lots of success stories about the SCORE mentees and how they became successful business owners after working with SCORE. So SCORE is a little bit of a unique example because they don't charge for anything, so they don't generally have their hand out anyway. But the more that you can talk about why people were successful, those kind of mini testimonials, the more you're going to attract more people that are willing to stick with you for the story and stick with you for your fundraising ask, because they also know they're going to get some value for themselves. They're going to learn how to beat the problem that you are solving. So whatever that problem is, you're not just saying, give me money to learn how to beat the problem. You're like, wow, here's some other success stories that already have happened, generated by our organization. And the more you can kind of drive that motivation and engagement, the more you're going to continue to grow your newsletter, grow your entire donor engagement efforts, because you're going to have that, again, you're going to have that larger base and that larger audience to then grow your fundraising from the bottom up. And again, incentivize. And it's really something that hasn't become popular online yet with nonprofits. Yes, if I sign up for AARP, if I sign up for AAA, I can still get the trunk organizer. If I sign up by mail, they'll mail me the trunk organizer. So there are still incentives out there, but they don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be a physical product or item that's going to cost you money. They can be a digital something. They can be a success guide. Here are 5 ways to organize an arts fair to help arts in your community. And so they can be sort of educational products that don't necessarily cost you a lot of money once you've developed and created it. You don't have to pay for postage. You don't have to pay for shipping, but having some incentive to get people to take that step of, yeah, I'm really interested in this mission. I'm interested in fixing this problem. If that problem is personal to me, so now I want to learn more about how you guys are going about it. Yeah, I'm going to subscribe. Fail number 3, confusion. Woo-hoo-hoo. Confusion kills trust. Every time you confuse your audience with the wrong date, the wrong copyright, the wrong dead links, anything that confuses your audience is bad for business. Whether you're a nonprofit or a for-profit, confusion is the worst thing you can do. And I see so many nonprofits where the hero section on the website, the top part of the website, they put their press releases up there. I guess they're hoping that by putting press releases, they're going to have sort of, changing content. But then the press releases are 2 years old, and that is very confusing. Have you done no work in 2 years? Why is the second most recent press release 2 years old? So that's not to say you have to do more press releases. If that's not your goal, then don't do that. But don't put the confusing thing at the top of your page. Put the impact statement, put the mission statement, but don't do anything that confuses people. Other examples. I see a lot of arts organizations who have a calendar of events, and then there's 1 or 2 events for the whole rest of the year. Some enterprising arts gallery put their event up, and it's the only event for the whole organization. That is very confusing as to why do you have a calendar that you're not then updating? And I know people go, oh yeah, it's going to become really popular and everybody's going to want to do it by themselves. They don't. They're not going to. I have, through my years in nonprofit management, arts management, tourism management, every organization I've ever worked with that's had a calendar has had to actively engage and get people to fill out that calendar. They have had to go to them. They've had to edit. Calendars are a ton of work. So you can have a calendar, but don't have it be confusing. Don't have it be outdated or just one event. That doesn't help your organization at all if you don't have the resources to keep a calendar. Job boards are another example. If you have one job on your job board, that is why. Why do you have a job board? That is not helpful when you're trying to build a community of people and you're like, hey, here's the CEO position that's been open for 10 months. That's not a helpful. It doesn't make your organization look good. That like, oh, it's our intention one day to make this better. Right now, it's confusing as to why you're doing it. So take it off. Anything at all that is confusing is going to hurt your brand. Another thing that's confusing, and I'm sure everyone here is listening, has had that one rogue board member, and he's been asked to, speak on behalf of the organization or attend an event. And then he starts to talk about his own needs in context of my community or my business really benefits from this organization because XYZ, and he's gone off script. He just stopped talking the nonprofit language and he started promoting his own organization. And, there's maybe if it's a super charming board member that is okay, but really he's not helping with that branded message that you're trying to go out there. Here's our impact. Here's why people should join the organization. And he's just kind of shifted, or he or she has shifted into talking about his own needs and his own organization. So another thing that's very confusing is when you're shifting language, like let's say on one statement, you're talking about the impact and you talk about we've helped 150 cities around the world. And in another statement, you're talking about 21 million people around the world. And you're not combining that into one language. And so people are like, why is this why is this message different? It's just keeping that messaging consistent. And really a lot of nonprofits have brand guidelines. I can't recommend highly enough to either have brand guidelines or at the very least have messaging guidelines, talking points, sound bites, and creating a messaging framework. So getting everyone on board with a common set of talking points from the admin to the interns to your board of directors, your partners, your corporations that you're partnering with, your foundations you're partnering with, your government entities if you're partnering with. These are our talking points. If you're talking about our organization, please use this language. And keeping that language consistent, because again, confusion, it kills trust. It's the worst thing you can really do to drive away donors, because if they don't understand or they think, oh, the messaging isn't updated or it's old or you're lying to me because you're not using the same message. It really is so critical to stay on board with a common messaging framework. I would even recommend, if you have the wherewithal, if you have the staffing, this could be something an intern could do or an admin or your marketing coordinator, but really have someone be that annoying confusion cop, right? And just go through and just charge them every day, like every single day. I want you to go through a new page on the website, click all the buttons, make sure everything is going, make sure everything's going where it should be going. Make sure the language is consistent across all your pages. Make sure the menu bars, the footers, everything is consistent across all of the pages. You obviously can do a dead link checker. You want to do that as well. But really, it's the larger messaging, making sure that everything is consistent across your entire platform. I'm going to give you two examples. One is Habitat for Humanity, obviously, amazing organization. Their website is habitat.org. But there's a chapter organization in Florida that has received the URL habitat4humanity.org. So if I'm a user and I'm not entirely familiar with Habitat for Humanity, that I don't know the website URL and I land on habitatforhumanity.org, at first I'm looking at this organization that has built 62 homes. Well, you know what? For that county in Florida, that's a pretty good number. But if I'm looking for the main Habitat for Humanity, that's a little bit confusing. That chapter, that sub-organization really, and you can eventually find in the footer, like at the very bottom, that it's for the county in Florida, but not at the top of the page. So anyone who lands on there thinks that's the main Habitat for Humanity page. And it's like, wow, this is kind of confusing. Why is Habitat for Humanity only built 62 houses? Well, they didn't. The chapter did. So you want to make sure that your partners, all of your constituents are also staying on board with the framework. And so there's some organizations that even create branded guidelines for all of their chapters. So their chapters need to follow, here's the chapter name, so that it's very clear that these organizations are chapters and not the main organization. Another example, the Mathematical Association of America, they have what's called SIGMAs. So Special Interest Group is SIG and MAA is Mathematical Association of America. So they have all these special interest groups that contribute to the larger Mathematical Association. And I don't know, I haven't talked to them, but when you click to all the different Sigma groups, they're clearly not branded against the main branding of Mathematical Association of America. So some of the Sigma groups have not very engaging websites. Some of them have copyrights from 3, 4, 5 years ago. And it's like, are they not active? Why are they, what's happening here? I don't understand. And it's confusing because the Mathematical Association of America does link off to those from their website. So seemingly they are sponsored by and approved by, and yet they have nothing related to the main branding of MAA. So it's confusing, and that confusion can cause trust to erode because people, if they don't understand it, they're not going to spend time going, ooh, I wonder why this is different or why this is confusing. They're going to go, you know what, I'll figure it out later. They'll bounce off your site and go find their answers elsewhere. So really having a person that part of their role is just checking for things that might be confusing, or having focus groups, having people come in and talk to, having your constituents, your members, your donors coming in and talking to you about what is confusing, what they aren't gelling with, and understanding what their confusion is. Fail number 4, not enough nonprofits practice gratitude, and especially structured gratitude. And look, if you went to a bank, you dropped a $100 bill on the ground outside the bank, walk in, oh, my $100 bill is missing. Now, say someone came up to you and said, oh, excuse me, you dropped this $100 bill. Would you just take the bill and go, great, and not acknowledge it? Of course not. You would thank that person probably profusely, because this could be your Starbucks money or your eating out money or goof around money for the week. So when someone gives you money, you thank them. And it's not just a one-time, thanks for your donation, here are 6 other ways you can support us. It's literally a heartfelt thank you from the CEO. That could be a letter. It could be a letter, not just a receipt for the money, but a few days later, the CEO, or maybe once every week, you send out a letter to all of your new donors, your new subscribers, from the CEO saying, hey, we're really glad you're here. Please let us know what your expectations are. Thank you for joining us. How can we help you become a better advocate for us or a better constituent for us? And making that a real thank you, and there's no other purpose other than thanking people for their money, thanking them for that $100 bill, that $25 bill. Another way you can thank people, and I just don't understand why more nonprofits don't do this, is having a thank you page on your website that literally thanks every single donor. And I know that it can take a little bit of work, and I know that it can be a bit of a pain in the neck, but I am a graduate of UC Riverside in California, and when I go back to visit UC Riverside, somewhere in the Commons area, there's a brick with my name on it. And when I take friends, I show them my brick. I assume it's still there. I don't know. Maybe now at this point they may have moved it, but I show them my brick. That's my name. It's there. And if you have a donor, it doesn't cost you very much to create a thank you for all your donors. Be grateful, thank them, let them know that you appreciate their contribution to helping you, and whether or not that is $100, $20, or $10,000. And yeah, you could do more for the higher level donors, but there's no reason to not include every donor, because the more you're practicing gratitude for everyone, the more likely people are going to be when they are able to contribute more at Christmas or Giving Tuesday or whenever. They're going to remember the thank you gave them. And the more you create gratitude for the lower level donors, the lower amount donors, the more they're going to remember that. So then on Christmas, Giving Tuesday, whatever your special, capital campaigns are, once you've thanked them and meant it, and separately from here's your receipt, it's not just thank you for donating, here's your receipt, but literally an email from the CEO, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember how they felt appreciated. And then when you have a higher level donation, they're going to be more likely to click or signal some interest in that then gives you a larger audience you can follow up on. Hey, we're doing this campaign. We'd really love your help. The more people remember that you thanked them and you engaged with them and you meant it sincerely and authentically, the more likely they're going to be to then donate again later and donate more. And the more you're building an engaged level of people that are at your base, the ones that are donating just the one-off or a few times a year, if you've made them feel good, they're going to remember that. And then when you get to the higher level donations, they're going to be more likely to participate in that higher level. And the other thing you want to do is, again, as I mentioned, offer an incentive. Thank them in advance for subscribing, for donating. Bring them in and make them feel valued. Make them feel like they're going to get something special for entering this support level. Even if it's $0 to begin with, that they're feeling like they got something in return for their time and their effort. Then send them the thank you. Send them a thank you with the receipt. We've got your money. Thank you very much. Here's the receipt. And then a few days later, set up your automatic email to thank them with a letter from the CEO, an email from the CEO saying, thank you so much for your support. This really means a lot to us. We'd love to invite you to a Get Acquainted webinar. We'd love to invite you to contribute your opinions. Here's a survey. Here, could you click here and tell us which content is most interesting to you? But making it about them, thanking them, asking them what they are expecting out of that relationship. And even when you're thanking people who are even at a $10 donation, it's going to make them feel good. It's going to give them that touchy-feely. So then when you're building up to your next level and your next level in the donor pyramid, they've remembered how you made them feel. And that is going to create some goodwill. So when you're doing your Giving Tuesday campaign, your capital campaign, your Christmas fundraising campaign, that they remember you made them feel good and that they now want to continue to participate at a higher level with you. And that is what nurturing donors is about, is making them feel good, even if they're only giving $10. You don't have to wait for your thank yous to wait until they go 100 or 150 or less. It's very easy to automate emails to send those thank yous immediately upon any, if you get daily receipts of these 5 subscribers, 5 days later, 3 days later, you send a thank you from the CEO. A lot of influencers in the creator economy, which I talk about a lot, they're actually sending personalized videos. So they send so you could do that. You could send an email, thank you for the CEO. They really appreciate your effort. Click here to see a personal video just for you. Obviously, it's not going to be a personal video at a certain, the $10 level, but at the $150, $200, $300 level, when they start to get kind of at that higher level, why not? Give your CEO homework once a week. Here are all our new high-level donors. Put together a thank you video for all of them. It's the same script, but dear Bob, thank you. Dear Mary, thank you. Post them on direct message on social media. Send them out by email. But make people feel part of the organization. Make them feel welcome. Make them feel thanked for being a part of your group. Then the other thing to do that, to track all that, is create what's called a donor stewardship matrix. So you're going to create your triangle of donor support. Your subscribers are at the very bottom. You want the big base of subscribers, even if they're not donating. Then possibly your volunteers. Then maybe your $100 a year or less donors, $1,000, 101 to $1,000, and then anybody higher. And for each level on that matrix, you are going to create an outreach schedule. So once a quarter, just send an email for every subscriber, every donor that says, "Hey, we're glad you're here. Thank you very much. We've done some updates. Would you like to join our webinar? Would you like to see the updates of what's going on? We're super excited." And it's not an ask. It's just literally, thank you for being part of our group. We are going to keep thanking you every quarter, so that then that way, when you do have another ask next week, next month, that they've remembered. You didn't just do one thank you when they signed up. You're continually expressing gratitude and asking them to participate in the decision making and the solution providing that your organization provides. And then obviously, the higher up the donors get on your donor pyramid, then your thank yous are going to be more significant. And if you have someone to $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 level, depending on your policies and their policies, hey, can I invite you to have a coffee? Can I take you out for a coffee to say thank you and give you an update on what we're doing? And there's not everyone is going to have time for that. Not everyone's going to want to do that. That may feel conflict. It may feel like a conflict of interest for some organizations. But for those organizations that say no, you still ask. They still feel good that you've cared enough to ask. And for those that say, yeah, I can't do coffee, but hey, I'd love to do a webinar, or I'd love to do a Zoom meeting. Great. Then you're learning from them what they're looking for and really having that conversation to see, is there just support sustainable over the long term, or was it literally a one-time thing because a specific campaign or a specific issue was interesting to them, but it's not going to happen. But the more you know people, the more you can kind of count on what their next steps are going to be based on the conversations you've had with them. And your thank yous are not sales. They're not asking for more money. They're quite literally, your support means a lot to us, and we'd love to know how we performed, or we'd love to know what we can do to continue to drive this message and make it more accessible to everyone in our organization. Fail number 5, incorrect or no use of technology. If you're not leveraging technology and leveraging the data you glean through technology, big fail right there. So I worked for an organization. They were a little bit, let's just say their email subscriber practices were somewhat old school. They'd go to conferences, they'd go to meetings, and they would just, everyone they met, they'd put in the database without opt-in or double opt-in or any of the things they're supposed to do. Then eventually, these emails would be Gmails or fake emails that people would, when they wrote down on the sign-up list. It wasn't even a real email. And they were just terrified to lose anyone off the list just in case they became engaged later. So they hired an intern or a staffer to literally call all 10,000 people in the database and to ask them to update their information. So it's like just so old school. And this is not pre-internet. This is a few years ago. And, first of all, if someone calls you out of the blue and says, "Hey, I'm with XYZ organization, can you give me your address and your phone number?" You're like, "Nope, I sure can't." So why would anyone do that? Secondly, the interns you hire, the assistants you hire, the coordinators you hire to do that work are generally not trained in outreach, sales, communications. So they get frustrated. They are not the communicators that you want talking to your donors, your email subscribers. And what often happens when you have someone calling for updates, they're calling board members because they don't know. They're not familiar with your list, and nobody has segmented it for them. And so now they're calling a board member and getting belligerent because they don't have the correct information or whatever it is. It's just a terrible practice from all sides to just A, having subscribers you have no idea why they're on their list, and then B, having a human person calling to get that update. It's terrible. There are plenty of technology tools out there that can do that for you very, very easily. There are plenty of companies that are out there that specialize in cleaning up lists and giving you a cleaned up list that tells you who these people are, why they're on your, ostensibly, why they're on your list, and getting them updated in a professional manner that doesn't involve harassing the people who are on your list. The very people you don't want to irritate, like with outreach calls, like, "Please give me your address." HubSpot, if you're familiar with HubSpot, they're not a sponsor, but I love HubSpot. You put an email in, it'll go in its history. It will, generally speaking, be able to find whoever that person is, why they're in the database, what company, their phone number. HubSpot has a very robust free version, a fairly robust free version. It also has a nonprofit version. So that's a great place to start if you want to test. Just cleanse your list through HubSpot. You won't be able to do your whole list at once if you're on the free version, but you'll probably be able to do as much volume as an intern calling people. But then there are all kinds of donor softwares, DonorNet, Blackbaud. There are just all kinds of softwares out there that can help you with that and do it very, very quickly and in a way that doesn't harass the people that you're the very people you want to eventually generate goodwill with. You're not harassing them, and B, you're getting probably far better data than if you've called an assistant and the assistant's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to help you with that information. I don't know who you are. So use technology to create your list, to segment your list. If someone subscribes to your newsletter, or if someone donates, for example, your email provider, and again, using an email provider like ConvertKit, MailChimp, Constant Contact. I use ConvertKit for my email because it's very robust with all the features. You can integrate it into HubSpot or DonorNet or all the other things where all of that, LinkedIn, you can connect all three. You can connect your LinkedIn and your HubSpot and your email list, and then everything is happening automatically on the back end. And what happens then is, say someone subscribes and then they donate $100. So now you can set up ConvertKit to automatically tag this person as a new subscriber. So now you can say anyone who subscribes in this month, 7 days later, send a thank you, and you automate the whole thing. You don't have to sit there and go and remember to do your thank you emails. You just set it up from scratch and just have this machine going out where we're reminding people. Then okay, now I sent this thank you. Now within 90 days, send the second quarter follow-up. Now within 180 days. And you can set that time and that schedule, but automate it and use the technology that is out there. And that is not, some of it can be a little pricey, but most of it has nonprofit pricing. And most of it is set up that it will save you so much time, so much money in terms of staff resources that it is well worth buying the technology. The other thing is that then you can also start to track how much people are giving. They donated $100 on so-and-so date, but then they did do a second donation during Giving Tuesday. They did a third donation during Valentine's Day. They did a fourth donation during summer sale. And you can start to track and identify where they belong in the donor pyramid. And then at a certain point, if someone has donated separately 4 or 5 times, then you can have your donor management team say, I'm going to reach out to them and go, hey, you donated over the course of last year. You donated about $1,200. How about we put together this really great package that includes XYZ for you to donate $2,000, and then we'll just do that all at once for you. And then you can start to build some intel about who you're working with, what their results are, what they're clicking on, and building all the technology to put that together so that you don't have to do so much work you're saving your staff time, you're saving the headaches of tracking that all manually. The other thing you need to do, though, if you're doing the technology and leveraging it, is you have to train your staff and be very vigilant about that every staff member needs to log every interaction. I reached out to them on social media. I featured them on social media. I contacted them about this webinar. I contacted them. They participated in this webinar. Whatever actions and interactions they had, you have to make sure that your team is tracking that. They were a conference sponsor. They donated to the conference. They donated art to the conference, so that when you're building your technology outreach for the next year, you can kind of decide, okay, so all these people were artists and they donated to my silent auction. How do I want to address them separately from everyone else? Because they have different needs and I want to have them redonate again next year. And again, sending them a thank you for donating from the CEO. We really appreciate your donations. It helps our employment fund. It helps our education fund. So really having this technology put all that together for you. I know it sounds a little overwhelming now, but it's once you've set it up, you set it and forget it. And you don't do anything. They pay the money and the tech The only thing you have to do is remember to, every time you have an outreach, you log it into whatever system you're using. And then leveraging the data that you're getting from that. Like, is it, if I've sent more thank yous and more outreach, are those people more likely to donate more money? No. Okay. Who's clicking on the thank yous? Are the people who are clicking more likely to donate more money? Am I testing the language? And so not just collecting the data through technology, but then analyzing the data and the results that you're garnering so that you can then leverage them and create some best practices for the outreach that you're doing so that your donors are not, again, not over inundated, but they're feeling special because you're targeting specifically to their needs. Imagine how it would feel if someone called you and said, hey, I noticed that over the course of last year, you donated 4 different times to 4 different programs. Could we create a program just for you? And is it worth it to do 1 or 2 phone calls for someone who's donated $1,000, $2,000? Absolutely. But you need to have the technology set up so you don't manually have to go through and calculate all that. A great site that I really like is Kiva. They do microloans. And you go on the site, you can pick the kind of microloan, how much you'd like to donate in how much you'd like to loan on your microloan, the type of project you're interested in, what that project, is it going to be in the US? Is it going to be international? Is it related to farming? Is it related to art? And then you pick what you want, you donate the money. And all of that is tracked. I mean, I can't imagine, their data guy is like a genius because they've just created this entire ecosystem of data where they're tracking how many people they're helping, how much the financial merit is, how much the default rate is, like how many people didn't pay back the loans. Then once you loan once, can you loan again? And so it's just a really amazing compilation of data. Now, they're a large organization. Not every nonprofit is going to be able to do that kind of outreach. But you can, even at a very small level, use a tool like, at the very least, ConvertKit and track who is being targeted and when and how much, and creating some regularly scheduled emails so that you're targeting the right message to the right consumer at the right time. Fail number 6 is not getting out into the community and establishing partnerships. So many nonprofits are just focused on just creating those major donor packages and doing that outreach and creating the grants and the proposals, but they're not out there networking. They're not out there meeting people in the community. They're not doing Chamber of Commerce mixers. They're not figuring out what are some of the local opportunities that are maybe going to take a little less work than putting together a 100-page proposal for, funding that they maybe have a 20% chance at earning. So getting out there and learning what's available in the community. What programs does the city have? What program does the county have? The state? Meeting people that are, outside your bailiwick. What are the media? Like, if you go to a community event and you meet a media person, like, hey, what would it take for me to get this story in your media outlet? And really focusing on ways that you can develop these cool partnerships that are not on a national level, not on a global level, but that can still generate you a whole lot of goodwill and interest locally and really help you extend your message and extend your donor awareness of your programs. Patagonia, they're already, the outdoor gear company, they're already well known for their charitable support. I mean, they work very closely with a lot of nonprofit organizations. But they have Patagonia Action Works that literally showcases nonprofit events, activities, and needs. So if you're a nonprofit and you need help creating a communications plan, you can post on Patagonia Action Works, say, hey, is anybody willing to help me create my communications plan? I'm looking for volunteers. And so that may not be in alignment with what you need. The mission of Patagonia may be different from your mission. You may not have the outdoor component. By getting out in the community and meeting other for-profits, meeting other nonprofits, and developing those conversations to learn about the ways and the things that you can maximize a little bit of interest. Maybe there's a fair or a farmer's market you can participate at and talk about your mission and message. But you have to get out there. You have to build those partnerships, and they sometimes are beyond this partnership is going to net me $0, but the awareness and the opportunity to engage new donors from my organization is worth it. So getting out and developing partnerships is so critical. The other thing is that there are a lot of corporate partners that would love to work with nonprofits, and yet that connection isn't yet as strong as it could be. The nonprofits are so focused on grant writing, they're not always out there as much going, hey Canva, I do this thing. I'm interested in men's health. During Movember, what could we do to work together to create Movember marketing, branded Movember materials? And then, and by the way, if you're interested in more information or donating to Movember, here's how you do it. Or, hey, already we're seeing grocery stores, we're seeing Taco Bell that are partnering with major national, international nonprofits. Are there opportunities where you could work with the local car dealer or the local clinic or the local dentist or the local restaurant or coffee shop to create some promotional opportunities? Yeah, they're not going to be as big as donate to St. Jude's on this higher level, but it still helps you get awareness out. And when you show yourself as this organization that's really open to partnerships, you then open yourself up to other partnerships coming your way. So really getting out there and having some conversations about how can we extend this partnership and be creative with our partnership strategy. And fail number 7 is not having a plan, a strategic plan, simple, executable, SMART goals, strategic plan. I'm not talking about 30, 40, 50 pages it takes you 6 months to write. Your strategic plan is basically, how am I going to get more subscribers, more donors? How am I going to get the current donors I have to spend more? And how am I going to bring new people into the conversation? So too many strategic plans are just literally a business plan. These are the things I'm going to do over the next 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. The problem with that is that you should have a business plan anyway. A strategic plan is focused on growth. How am I going to grow awareness, grow donations, grow money? So if you're just talking about, I'm going to get 100 donors, are they new donors? Are they the same donors? You need to talk about, what are your growth goals? What is your specific goal? I'm going to get, if I'm going to get $150,000 in new dollars in donations over the next 2 years. Okay, great. That's a strategic goal because that's new money. And it's also a SMART goal because it's specific, it's measurable, it's hopefully achievable, realistic, and time bound. Within 2 years, I'm going to make this happen. So the next thing you need to do, the next thing that people do wrong with their strategic planning is then they say, okay, so I'm going to do 150,000 over 2 years. So let's say that's about $5,000 a month. And then I'm going to just get $5,000 a month in revenue. But instead of talking about the revenue from that level, you need to talk about the activities you're going to do to generate $5,000 new dollars worth of interest every month. So that could be your partner outreach. That could be your talking about your impact statement. It could be talking about revamping your donor strategies. But your strategic plan, your plan for growth needs to be not just, I'm going to reach this point by 2 years from now, but every activity I'm going to do over the next 2 years to get me there. And then it needs to be measurable. Somehow you need a cadence, a check-in period every month, every quarter. How are we coming along? A, on the goal, the money, but B, and more importantly, the activities, because it's not enough to say, I'm going to earn $150,000 in 2 years. Well, how are we going to turn that into $75,000 a year, $6,000 a month? And what are the activities we're going to do to bring in this new money? And if it's just, if it's just the same thing you've been doing all along, that's fine. If you don't need to grow, you don't need to grow. But if you want to grow, you need a plan as to what is the focus. What's the most important thing we're going to focus on? Individual donors, major donors, corporate partners, and then how are we going to get there? What are the actual literal activities we're going to take to make that happen? All right, that's it for me today. So we talked about the epic fails that nonprofit organizations are not focusing on, to primarily to remember that the more people you have at the base of your subscriber and awareness level, the more you'll be able to lift up to donors mid-level donors, major donors, maybe major donors. So just having that growth mindset. What can we do to grow people at the bottom of the funnel so that we can, or at the bottom of the pyramid, so that we can keep elevating and bringing more people to the higher level? And then creating a plan for how you're going to do that, making sure that you are staying on track for this plan. You're not just laying it out there. This is where we're going to be in 2 years, but you don't have a map on how you're going to get there. You don't have specific milestones. Milestone 1 to 5 is this. Milestone 6 to 7 is that. And then finally, really upping your content strategy to focus on your impact, focus on what value there is to your subscribers, to your donors, and giving them the information they need, being grateful for their participation, and demonstrating that gratitude over and over again. And you can't be grateful enough, because people appreciate being appreciated.